Please.
President Byrne,
Here.
Trustee Cook, Trustee Oppenheim. Here. Trustee Takaoka,
Here.
Trustee Hebda,
Here.
Trustee Schultz.
Here.
Trustee Markwart.
Here.
We have a quorum present. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Is there any citizens that wish to address the board tonight on any matter? Oh, he is here. Okay. On any matter other than, what's on committee of the whole, because if it's on committee of the whole, you'll be recognized. Yeah. You want to state your name, please, for the record?
My name is Arnold Van den Bygard. I live at 302 Court in Vernon Hills.
Okay.
Good evening.
Get that, Lisa?
3 Altoona Court.
Court, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
And your name again, sir?
Arnold Van den Bygard.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Board of Trustees. My name is Arnold Van den Bygard, and I live on Altoona Court in Vernon Hills. I've lived in the local community for the last 32 years. When I first moved to the area, we only had Hawthorne Shopping Center and a Dominic's Shopping Plaza. Route 60 was a single lane in each direction to the tollway. For 17 of those years, I've lived across the street from what is now the Cuneo development, which used to be farmland. And for the last 15 years, I've lived in Vernon Hills. I'm very proud to call Vernon Hills my home. We have a great village, one of the tops in the state. We pay no village property taxes, and our village has a AAA bond rating and great schools. And many people want to move to Vernon Hills to raise a family. My reasoning for being here tonight is I would like to address the newly elected trustees this evening, Mr. Takaoka and Dr. Oppenheim. I'm sure you're both aware of who I am, as I have posted some questions and challenges to statements made on your Vote for Fresh Start page, Facebook page, during the elections. Craig's bio on the Fresh Start page states, I believe the best candidate for village trustee is one that is actively engaged in the community on a daily basis. Our group has 3 key focal points: transparency, community voice and involvement, and economic efficiencies. David's bio on the Fresh Start page states he founded the group called Build Something Special in 2014, which I feel was mainly created to fight the building of Menards. Unfortunately, this cost the village over $1 million in lost tax revenue and legal fees, and over $1 million in lost revenue for the school district. One of the main platforms your group ran on is to have greater transparency within the community. One of your Fresh Start posts regarding a village board meeting, you state, more Fresh Start news in today's Daily Herald. We can't help but find irony in Trustee Jim Schultz's comment. When I hear we're not transparent, I just kind of shake my head. There's nothing that's done behind closed doors. We meet with all concerned parties. Yet, and your post said, yet tonight the village board met in closed session to discuss how they can expedite the hiring of a new police chief before the April 4th election. Why wasn't this session open to the public? What happened to all the transparency, Jim? Well, when I saw this post, I was a bit curious because I wanted to know more about the subject. So I did a little Google search and found the Illinois Open Meetings Act in the state website. I then posted on your Fresh Start site what I discovered in that act under the title of Exceptions to Open Meetings, Closed Sessions. When can a meeting be closed? Can a public body ever meet in private? Indeed, Section 2C of the Open Meetings Act provides that a public body can close a meeting to the public when the following topics are to be considered: appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee or legal counsel for the public body. I stated that according to this, the village was following the letter of the law. I suggested that your party slate read the Open Meeting Act carefully before claiming the village board is not being transparent. I included the link on the Open Meetings Act to support this. After my post, I started noticing censorship. I was blocked from seeing posts or messaging by one of your most vocal running mates. I was also blocked from messaging or posting on another one of your running mates' posts. As stated in the Open Meetings Act, any person who becomes an elected or appointed member of a public body subject to the Act after January 1st, 2012 must complete the electronic training no later than the 90th day after taking oath of office, or if not required to take an oath of office, after otherwise assuming responsibility as a member of the public body. So I hope you've both taken this mandatory training and now understand that the village has always followed the letter of the law when it comes to when you can and cannot have closed-door sessions, and that they are indeed acting in a transparent manner. Craig Tekioka brought up in one of the last board meetings that he was getting inquiries and complaints from a great many people in the community regarding the Tobacco 21 proposal. He says he represents all the people, that he's a conduit for the community, then he's out in the community on a daily basis and is very approachable and accessible. Trustee Hebda questioned why has no one brought this issue up to her as she works in the school district. So my question for Craig, in light of his statement that he's very approachable and accessible, why is it that when I messaged the Vote for Fresh Start page on May 7th with a question about allowing residents to be involved with things going on in the village, whether via social media, other gatherings, etc. I received an auto response thanking me for my note, and one of us will get back to you as soon as possible. Well, guess what? I never received a response. And I know, Craig, you're still actively using the Fresh Start page as you have posted on May 7th, 8th, 9th, 16th, 31st, and on June 14th. So I know you had to see my message. I noticed there was a Vernon Hills Neighbor Network that has 928 members. I wanted to join on Facebook, seeing I'm a resident of Vernon Hills. Twice I was turned down from joining it. I did some digging and noticed the wife of one of your running mates, who happens to be your neighbor, is the admin of the site, which probably explains the reason why it was not accepted, which I asked why I was being denied access, and I received no response. Still waiting on this. And you also had a post on your Fresh Start page on May 4th. Our Fresh Start trustees were sworn in the other day. Please note that this Facebook page will remain active and will continue to provide an open forum for questions, info, and that can now be directed to these fine representatives of our community. We have a lot of changes, growth, and proposals coming our way. Please let us know what is on your mind. We look forward to being of service. So my question to both of you are, how are you going to assure me that my questions and voice will be heard now that you are elected to the board? How can you assure me that you'll represent all residents of Vernon Hills, the whole community, meaning every neighborhood in the village, not just your neighborhood? How can you assure me going forward that anything that is organized by your group of Fresh Start people or anyone associated with your group will allow all residents to participate, no matter if they agree or disagree with your agenda? How can you assure me that residents that have a different opinion than yours will not be prevented from questioning or challenging any positions you may have? I do not see this happening. And my last question to Craig is, if you are approachable and accessible, why did you not respond to my message on May 7th? Tell me how you're living up to your focal points of transparency and community voice and involvement. Thank you for taking the time to hear what I have to say.
Okay. All right, anybody else wish to address the board today? Or do you two want to address the
Definitely.
resident?
Yeah, I would like to respond. First of all, I appreciate your perspective in responding to my posts on social media. If I had time in the day to do constant interactions on social media, I'm really using it to just let the public know, let the community know what's going on here at the village board. Now, if you have something specific, all our contact information directly, you can email me directly on, my vernonhills.org, email, and anything that you want brought up, at a village board meeting, absolutely.
Well,
I'm
my
not
question
trying to
is,
make this about my opinions or anything.
Well, my question
by
is,
any
that
means.
you guys are continue using your Vote for Fresh Start platform on their social media page. If I'm asking a question and you choose to use that as a platform for messaging and all that, and I ask a question, as a resident, I would expect some kind of a response.
Okay.
And I think that would be something that I would think would be something to expect, because there was also another post there where you're having a subject about tonight where a resident also made a comment on there, and I see no response on there. And to me, it feels like it's a one-sided issue, that you guys have an agenda, but if I have a vocal opinion about it, and my question is during the election and everything, and still to this day, I'm being censored, and I'm not having a voice, and that's why I chose to come to the village board, because you guys claimed there was no transparency, but when in fact, the village does have transparency. It seems that your group is trying to create a problem, create like problems within the village like they're big problems, and they aren't. So
All right, so I think what I'll do is, as far as social media is concerned, if anyone has anything specific they want to, ask me, I'm gonna put my email on there. Okay, so I apologize for that because it's not like I post on social media, then I'm watching it every 2 seconds and then I can respond. So I apologize for that. I think I'm gonna clarify by if you have something specific or want a question answered, I'm gonna put my Vernon Hills
And then
email
how
on
can you
there
assure
as
me that any of your social media, example of Vernon Hills Network
I don't
page,
control that.
Well,
I mean,
it's all part of your group, and it's all part of what you represent, and I'm just saying that there's censorship still going on there, and
Well-
I'm just bringing that up, so.
I wouldn't go as far as to say there's censorship.
Well,
I don't control
You're preventing
that.
village, if your group is indeed transparent, why is it for me just being on a Vernon Hills Network, the neighbor network page, why is that be prevented? Your neighbors, you guys discuss it. I'm sure you guys discussed my post that would have started the censorship and all that about the transparency when I brought up the thing about the Illinois Act. So I'll just leave it there.
Well,
Yeah.
what's your name? Oh,
Arno Vanden Buyker.
okay. Trustee Cook?
I was just going to ask if we could move on to the other
Yeah.
business for that,
Yeah,
because
well, I am.
as a general rule, we don't like to use the citizens wishing to address the board for political reasons. If it's more issue-oriented, if you could, please.
Okay, next item is, does anybody else wish to address the board on any matter other than what's going to be at committee at all? Okay, next is, thank you to 2016 Vernon Hills Queens. Are they in the room? Do the parents want to take pictures? They can. All righty. So, how you doing? Is this all the mothers of these children? Okay. All right. Okay, first is Little Miss Vernon Hills 2016 Tessa Posner. Want to come up? Okay. That's not. Thank you. How do you pronounce your last name? Posner. Okay, thank you. Well, you know. Hey, yeah. Okay. Junior Miss Lake County of Vernon Hills 2017, Peyton Newman. All right, congratulations. And Miss Vernon Hills 2016, Alina? Alina? Alina. Okay, Berta. Okay. Congratulations. All right, now, the 2016 Queens, you can say something if you want. If you want. Come on, say something. Say something to your parents. Say something to, anybody you want.
I want to thank
Hold on, whoa.
I
What?
want to thank everybody for making my year so great and making it all possible. Thank you.
Thank you to the whole board and Mayor Byrne for just helping us have the best year, and for all of our parents and our directors for being there with us as well. It was really fun.
Okay, congratulations.
Yes, and I also wanted to thank all of you here today. The Vernon Hills pageant has definitely been an amazing experience for all of us this past year. So thank you for your continued support for the Vernon Hills pageant.
Okay, and who's in high school now? Any college? Elementary school, obviously. Which school do you go to, honey?
Hawthorne School of Dual Language.
Yeah.
Hawthorne School of Dual Language.
Okay, south, north, south.
Town line.
Okay, Tyler, all right, I'm close. Yeah. Okay, with that said, congratulations, and are you gonna still be in the parade? Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we need to introduce Little Miss Vernon Hills 2017, Junior Miss Vernon Hills 2017, Preteen Miss Vernon Hills 2017, Miss Vernon Hills 2017. Your parents want to come up here and take pictures and, okay, a couple of familiar faces here. I should have had your knight in shining armor here, Madison. Yeah. My 5-year-old grandson, when he found out that she won, Junior Miss Vernon Hills, he decided to bring the breastplate and the shield, and he's got a hat. He kind of looks like the character from Bugs Bunny, And he's got his sword, and he's smiling. And of course, Madison towers over him, but he wanted to protect her. So anyway, I'll share it with everybody on Facebook, right? Maybe I will. Okay, but in any event, Little Miss Vernon Hills, Leah Cleek. You want to say your mom? Okay. All right. Then you just stay here, honey. That's okay. Junior Miss Vernon Hills 2017, Madison Chirillo. Preteen Miss Vernon Hills 2017, Lania Gutierrez. What is it? Well, you're the preschool, you're the teacher. All right, okay, Miss Vernon Hills 2017, Brianna Bolatin. Okay? All right. Why don't we start with Little Miss? You want to grab a mic, please? You're going to give it to Little Miss, please? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to say anything to the people?
Hi.
Your parents? Your pals? You want to sing a song?
No. I would like to thank my dad for coming to take me here.
Tonight?
Yes,
Okay, well, that's nice.
it was just fun.
And how old are you?
I'm 7 years old.
So you're going into second grade, or you already completed second grade?
I'm going in second grade.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, preteen.
I'm very excited for this year with my queens, and I know we'll have a lot of fun. And good luck to the parents.
And what school do you go to?
St. Mary of Buffalo Grove.
Okay, that's nice. I know where that's at. And Miss Vernon Hills. Oh, Junior Miss. Well, Junior Miss has got her hair covering her name tag. Go ahead.
Better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Madison Chirillo. I'm going to be a freshman at Vernon Hills High School, and this is my second time being a part of the Vernon Hills pageant system, and I'm so happy to be doing this again and to spend the year with my queens.
Okay, Brianna.
Hi, I'm Brianna Bolatin. I'm going to be a senior at Vernon Hills High School, and I'm so excited for this year. I've been Little Miss, Junior Miss, and now I'm Miss. So I'm really excited to be the oldest one of the bunch and be able to show these girls the ropes and just have a really fun year with them.
Well, great. Congratulations. Well, now you're officially excused. Okay. Thank you, parents. Congratulations, so on and so forth. 4th of July, yeah, we'll all be, hopefully the weather's nice. Okay. Next, Village Board and Committee of the Whole meeting will be Wednesday, July 5th. Village Manager, let's hold on for a second. Oh, yeah, those are the Tierra boxes.
The
Huh?
Tierra
Oh,
boxes,
okay. I thought they worked retail, you know?
I thought there was something inside there besides the deer. Okay.
Cassie, how you doing?
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Nice to see you. Absolutely. That was Cassie Black. Okay. In any event, what else? John Calmer, 4th of July Parade and evening entertainment update.
Thank you, Your Honor. Believe it or not, we're 2 weeks out from today from the 4th of July. So we'll see
Yeah,
these
that's good.
young ladies in 2 weeks in the parade. This year, we're looking, I think, for a bigger and better event like we always do each year. Got 3 marching bands, the South Shore Drill Team, Shriners, horses, and miscellaneous cartoon characters, and expect about 90 units. Lisa's working the crowd real hard to make sure we get our unit count up again this year. The event starts at 9 a.m. with the national anthem that'll be sung out in front of the fire department. The parade will step off right after that point, and as we all know, Deer Path, Sullivan, and Aspen will be closed during the parade, as we always do every year, but we want to reemphasize this again. If you need to leave your house in this area, you better be out by 8:30, because if not, come out and enjoy the parade until about 11. So evening entertainment, again, a big thanks to the Park District for sponsoring both the Band of the Black Watch, which will be in the parade, and the Big Fun Band, which will be providing the evening's entertainment. Fireworks shoot at 9:30, and we're anticipating, again, about a 20-minute show, which will be provided by Melrose Pyrotechnics. So I know the chief would want me to remind everybody, fireworks are illegal within the village. Not a sparkler, not a anything pyrotechnic in any way, shape, or form is legal. So
Any snakes?
snakes are probably okay, the smoking type of things, but after you get 1,000 degrees on one little thing, it's not legal anymore. So
Maybe caps. You could, hit them on the sidewalk with a hammer.
do they still make caps?
I doubt it. Ask Jeffrey Bear. Okay.
Second item, just a reminder, also Arbor Theater concert season starts up on Thursday night in a couple nights. So there'll be 5 events this year, all of which will be on Thursday evenings. They start typically around 7 o'clock and are run about an hour and a half to 2 hours. In case of rain, again, thanks to the Park District because they allow the concerts to be relocated to the Sullivan Center. Check the Vernon Hills website, vernonhills.org, for dates and groups that'll be coming this year again. Looking forward to a lot of great entertainment and hopefully a lot of good
And we
weather.
might have some bands, or a band or two, that on a different night.
Yeah, we might.
Yeah.
So
This is somebody who wants to do it for free. So.
yeah. So we're looking forward to it. And again, if you have questions, go to vernonhills.org, and the information on the dates and groups will be online.
Okay, who's the feature act on Saturday?
Saturday for summer celebration, Toad the Wet Sprocket is the headliner. And we'll provide more information on July 5th on that one. So
What were they from the 90s or 2000s?
I believe the 90s, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're now working the 90s genre.
You can,
There we go.
is this I could blame somebody that's near and dear to me?
Could be.
Yeah, good.
Okay, all right, I'll have to go on YouTube or something. All right, fine. All right, anything else then? No. Money Market Fund proposed changes, Nikki Larson, Finance Director.
Thank you, Your Honor. Included on tonight's omnibus agenda is ordinance 2017-082 to authorize the deposit of funds into the First American Prime Government Fund. This ordinance is requested to provide a temporary solution in inefficiencies that we are experiencing with the Illinois State Treasurer's Program. In accordance with the village's investment policy, the village has held liquid funds in the Illinois State Treasurer's Funds Money Market Program and has also used the Treasurer's Program for low-cost credit card processing and custodial services for securities. This pool has been providing liquid, safe investment options to local governments since 1975. Under the original Illinois Fund structure, the program was operated through U.S. Bank and offered a money market for higher liquidity needs, free checking services, which we did not take part in, low-cost credit card processing, and also offered a securities custody feature that was linked to the money market funds. Vernon Hills participated in the money market program, the credit card processing and custodial options, but has elected to do their local banking at First American Bank in town. Recent changes in the Security and Exchange Commission rules has led to significant changes as to how the Illinois program operates. This has led to unduly cumbersome processes to complete routine cash transactions. Funds are now held at 3 institutions instead of 1. The communication between the institutions is not ideal, and restrictions have been placed on the types of transactions that can deposit or withdraw funds from the accounts. This change has led to longer delays in establishing effective wire and ACH transfer instructions, completing transactions such as funding payroll, accounts payable, and debt service payments. So the Finance Department is seeking the following 2-phase solution to address this issue. First of all, the staff is recommending depositing a portion of the village's liquid funds into a fully collateralized money market at the village's primary banking institution, which is First American, to assist in facilitating these routine transactions and to provide immediate relief to the current issues. For diversification purposes, a portion of these funds will remain at the state treasurer's program, which will also ensure that we also receive electronic deposits of our state shared revenues. Second, we're also recommending the issuance of a request for proposals this fall. This will be a longer-term solution to look at how the village's cash and investments are handled over time. To assist in completing phase 1, staff reached out to 3 different financial institutions to obtain current interest rates, and First American was actually offering the most competitive rate. That was in line with our investment policy as well.
What's the rate?
Point
0.0s.
Yeah,
I'd say.
0.75, which, believe it or not, is actually competitive right now.
It's special, you know.
We're just in the business of maintaining principle, safe investments
Yeah.
for the village.
Do they still have the archaic, I guess, act that would allow us to invest in a bank?
We can do certificates of deposit that would be covered by FDIC insurance.
And what kind of
In
rates?
terms of stocks and equities, you can obtain 2% right now, 2.5%.
It's better than the one you
depending on
just
the
mentioned.
term. Well, we do have half of the village's investments are invested in federal securities, agency securities, and certificates of deposit. The money that we're discussing this evening is just the portion that we keep liquid
Right.
for day-to-day activities.
Right.
So the RFP would be for longer-term investments, laddering CDs, agency securities, and other allowable investments. There are significant restrictions on what municipalities can invest in. We can't,
Right.
get into stocks or,
Yeah,
crazy
with
things.
the police retirement fund, it's not as restrictive.
Correct. The police pension fund is under different restrictions. They're allowed to invest in equities, corporate securities,
And the
Things of that
return we
nature.
get on that is what, roughly?
stocks or equities.
Oh, I mean, through the police retirement.
Oh, the police retirement fund, what we target typically is a 6% return.
Yeah.
In some years, it's double-digit returns, if the market performs, and in some years, 2008, 2009, it's a negative,
Right,
a loss.
yeah, okay. All right, okay, so we're going to vote on this.
This is included on the omnibus
Right,
agenda.
any questions from the board? What would be the longest long-term investment we would do with, our general fund or our surplus?
Typically, we take, the longest duration would be a 5-year security.
Okay.
Our average duration right now is closer to a 3-year security based
Okay.
on the uncertainty of the state of Illinois and what they're going to be doing to our shared revenue.
Right. Okay, so there's nobody paying over 3 right now?
No,
No?
not in the arenas that we would be allowed to invest in,
Okay,
not that I know of.
Because interest
All right.
rates are going up.
All right, that's about, there's no questions for the board. Next item is the omnibus vote agenda. Is there a motion to approve items A through G?
So made. Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Motion carries. Unfinished additional business, approval of village board meeting minutes of June 6th,
Motion to approve.
2017.
Second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions, deletions, additions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any new business to come before the board? Okay. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn the board meeting and go into the committee of the whole? And we will go in the closed session for land acquisition?
Do you want me to read the speech now, Your Honor? Yeah.
You can read it, but I mean,
Yep.
but
Purchase or lease of real property
Yeah.
pursuant to Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act, and minutes, the discussion of minutes pursuant to Section 2C21 of the Open Meetings Act.
Okay. All right, I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting. Well, we needed a vote on adjourning, so roll call. There's a motion in a second.
Okay. Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. First item of business is approval of committee of the whole meeting minutes of June 6, 2017.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions, deletions, corrections, additions? Any of the above? No. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Sky Zone, are you folks here? Okay, you want to come up, please? You're Sky Zone and Little Kickers.
I'm the developer of the project.
Okay, is anybody,
A representative of Little Kickers is here as
well,
well.
you might as well bring them up.
Brian?
Anybody else? He's Little Kickers
Yeah.
and you're Sky Zone?
No.
I'm the developer of the project.
So he's Little Kicker and Sky Zone.
He is Little Kickers. I am the developer of the project. A representative of Sky Zones was unable to attend, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, you guys want to state your names for the record, please?
My name is Mitch Goltz, GW Properties.
Brian Lofton, Little Kickers.
Okay. All right. Who's handling this one? Let's see. Mike.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For those who are not aware, Sky Zone Little Kickers would be located in River Tree Shopping Center in the building that was formerly occupied by Gordman's. The site plan in front of you there shows the exact location. Some of us remember that building as the former River Tree Theater. Sky Zone is an indoor trampoline park. They have locations in Elmhurst, Aurora, and Orland Park. And Little Kickers is a child development program that provides classroom instructional services for soccer. Their proposal includes 4 main requests. The first one is approval of a special use permit to allow 2 recreational facilities within a B1 general business district. The second one is for approval of architectural revisions. The third is for approval of sign variations. And then finally, the fourth one is approval of a certificate of building and use conversion, because this would be going from a retail use to a non-retail use within our core retail district. The Planning and Zoning Commission conducted a public hearing on June 7th to consider the special use, architectural changes, and sign variations. And please note, they did not consider the certificate of building use conversion because this only requires approval by the village board. For the special use request, the P&Z responded favorably to their proposal and felt the uses were appropriate for the site. The 453 existing parking spaces on site comply with the zoning code and are more than adequate to serve the peak demand of 370 children. That would be peak demand for both businesses combined. Regarding the changes to the facade, if you look at the screen in front of you, the top picture shows the building as it is now. Bottom picture shows what they're proposing. And if you can look at, the changes apply mostly to Little Kickers. The projection that's off the front of the facade extends to the north. And what it does is it creates a central point for the main entry to the Little Kickers establishment. Regarding the sign variations, there's multiple sign variations, and they relate to three different aspects. One is the two multi-tenant signs, one on Milwaukee Avenue, one on Town Line Road. The other are the wall signs, and finally the directional signs. For the multi-tenant signs, and as a reminder for the board, the history behind those signs was precipitated when Gordman's came into the town. Because of visibility issues, they wanted to have presence on Milwaukee Avenue and Town Line Road before they were willing to occupy that space. At the same time, existing tenants in River Tree had clauses in their leases that stated that if River Tree were to ever put a sign on those right-of-ways, they would have rights to be on that sign, or they'd have the right to terminate their lease. Variations were ultimately approved, and that's the sign right there that the board ultimately did approve. The request would be to amend Ordinance 2011-012, the ordinance that approved the variations, to allow an additional tenant panel. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, what used to be one tenant panel would be two. Previously, they were approved for 10. Now they're requesting 2. The second variation, going back to the wall elevations, has to do with the wall signs. That same ordinance, 2011-012, allowed a size variation to allow Gordman's to have a 475 square foot sign. I'm sorry, to have a 363 square foot sign on that elevation. The combined total of all three signs would be 475 square feet. So that ordinance would need to be amended to allow the total signage to be 475 square feet. In addition, Little Kickers would need a variation to have 2 wall signs in lieu of the maximum permitted number of 1. And they would also need a variation to allow the logo, the standalone logo, to be greater than 4 square feet. It's proposed at 120 square feet right now. And then finally, the last part of the sign variations have to do with the directional signs. The picture on your left shows the Gordman signs when looking from the west. There is the same sign on the north and south elevation. So there's a total of 3 directional signs. Ordinance 2011-53, a different ordinance, approved the variations for Gordman's to have 3 directional signs that are greater than 3 square feet and that has the name of the store on the sign. So this ordinance would need to be amended to have 2 names displayed on the sign. Nothing else would change regarding this sign. So the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the special use permit to allow 2 children's recreational facilities to be known as Sky Zone and Little Kickers, and to recommend approval of the sign variations as I just described. So that's the result of the public hearing. That's the Planning and Zoning's recommendation to you tonight. In addition to that, the board is being requested to consider a certificate of building use and conversion. For standalone buildings that are at least 20,000 square feet, they're required to maintain at least 80% of the floor area of that building as a retail use. If they can't do that, then only the village board could approve a non-retail use, and that is part of their request tonight. And then obviously in this case, 100% of the building would be devoted to a non-retail use. So for tonight, if the COW feels that the request is appropriate, staff should be directed to prepare an ordinance granting approval of, number 1, a special use permit to allow a children's recreational facility to be known as Little Kickers. Number 2, a special use permit to allow a children's recreational facility known as Sky Zone. Number 3, approval of the sign variations that I just reviewed with you tonight. And then finally, number 4, approval of a certificate of building and use conversion allowing non-retail sales establishments in the core retail district. The petitioners are here to answer any questions that you have. Yeah, and excuse me, and that would be subject to the conditions that are outlined in your packet.
Hi, trustees, is this, you're dealing with Inland on this?
Correct. We're purchasing the property from Inland. They also own River Tree Court Shopping Center. They will maintain ownership of that, and we're only purchasing the former Gordmans from them.
You're gonna buy it?
We are purchasing the Gordmans property that was outlined in the parking lot from Inland. We will own it. There will be certain items that they will continue to maintain as part of the overall shopping center, but right, the parking lot, the lights, the sign, they'll continue to maintain that. We'll have an agreement with them, but we will
All
own
the
it.
infrastructure?
The-
Sewer, water, all that stuff?
Well, that stuff, most of those items do go to the building on their own, but anything that there is some sort of commonality between, they will likely maintain that because they have, 90% of the property, so.
Trustee Schultz?
I have no problem with this. I mean, I would love to see it be a sales tax revenue generator, but we know that it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind piece of property. It needs to be a destination, and you're going to be a destination. And my granddaughter has a ball at the facilities down in Buffalo Grove, and she lives here in town, so I'm assuming her and her friends will have a ball at, well, potentially not your space, but the other occupant, the trampoline park. She's a softball player, not a soccer player, sorry.
Okay, we love them all equally.
They do have dodgeball at the Sky Zone.
What is this, 40,000 square feet?
50.
50? Are you gonna do any retail in the place?
I will not on my side, no.
There is a small amount of retail, there's a small retail component within the Sky Zone space, selling, items affiliated with the brand. Excuse me, in addition to the locations that Mike had indicated, there's hundreds of locations around the world. I'm the landlord for the facility in South Suburban Orland Park, and it's one of the top locations in the country, volume-wise, and we believe this location has.
Did you look at anything in the business parks?
For those uses?
For this use, yeah.
No. I mean, we were attracted to the real estate. I grew up, in a nearby community and grew up going to River Tree and always felt this is a destination-type building, and the success that we've seen with Little Kickers as well as Skies and other,
So
retail.
you're buying it for nostalgic purposes?
No, well, there is that,
I need to, yeah.
There is that, but I mean, this location is a little bit of an out of sight, out of mind type
Right.
facility.
And I
for
think
the
one of the
same
good
reason-
things is that this building is going to create some synergy that will help facilitate, some of the other, if nothing else, the smaller restaurant / sandwich.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And
some, but, yeah.
The same reason the movie theater was successful there for many, many years. I mean,
Right.
Gordman's.
It's a
we-
destination.
You'll
we
probably
started-
generate more revenue for Portillo's.
There you go,
Well,
which is a good thing.
And, as far as the rest of the River Tree, the majority of the tenants are aware of what we're doing here. And, as you said, this will bring in hundreds of families from all over the community and other communities that will, do nearby shopping and dining and
Maybe they'll
entertainment stuff.
shop for some silk flowers at Michael's and
Right,
whatever else.
And did anybody estimate, even a good year, a bad year, what Gordon's generated in sales tax? That's top secret. We're not supposed to know that, right?
It's not something we can disclose in a public meeting.
But if it was even say it was 3 million, that's $300,000.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just to be
So
clear.
you want to make a donation to us to get this done, to.
You know what, I mean, it's.
No, seriously, I mean.
You know what, I mean.
This is a, I mean, it is a retail use.
We're, our company, we are retail developers. We have projects all across the Chicagoland area. We did market this property to, across the gamut as far as retailers, entertainment and the types of users that were interested in this particular facility were of the likes of Sky Zone, Little Kickers, and others, just not as conducive for retail as some of the other buildings that are in the market that are available for retail uses that, such as the sports.
What a nice banquet facility.
Well, If you have one, let us know. We're always looking for other buildings.
No, I'm talking, anyway.
Well, and
There's a-
within line with what the mayor said, I believe the mathematics are a little bit less. It's only 30,000 at 3 million. But whatever.
Wait, let me help. Let me help you.
But with that being said, we'd appreciate anything if you could think towards our becoming a member of our, what do we call it, the corporate cultural partners. That would always be appreciated on an ongoing basis, any support.
Well, you
And
know,
and Lisa
it's-
can give you more information.
Times 5 million at .025702, it's 362.
We get one.
Well, you get 1.25. Oh, yeah, it probably is not as
Yeah.
bad as I thought.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's not that high, and I'm going to remind the board that we are subject to strict regulations
right,
from the Department
well,
of
we're
Health.
just guessing here. We have no
That's all right.
information whatsoever.
That's right, the state's gonna lose money, and boy, the state really needs it, you know.
Yes, they do.
Without further ado, though, I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to prepare the necessary ordinance in accordance with the 4 points that were listed as the conditions for their approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustee Markwart? Aye. Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay. What else? Increase the tobacco sale age to 21. Approval and, I got one too many pieces of paper. Who's got this one? The chief?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
There you go. You got one of these in Winnetka?
This is a new issue for a lot of communities. And what I'd like to do, if I could, before I provide a staff report, is introduce Danielle Ryan from the Health Department and Community Health Center of Lake County, who's going to provide a brief presentation to the board, and then I'll probably have a few comments and help answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danielle Ryan. I am a community health specialist with the Lake County Health Department and Community Health Center. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you all today. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. So we have seen tobacco use rates decline since the mid-90s. These slides here show both adult and high school smoking trends. This decline can be attributed to the implementation of smoke-free laws throughout the country. This slide shows local Lake County data, and you'll see that it has declined traditional tobacco use from 2008 to 2016. The orange graph, or the orange bar, is showing electronic cigarette use rates, which is triple that of traditional tobacco products. This year was the first year that the Illinois Youth Survey asked an electronic cigarette question, so we don't have any comparative data. However, the electronic cigarette use rate is 3 times that of traditional tobacco. This question will be continually asked, and we'll have some comparative data when they do the survey again in 2018.
Have they figured out how to smoke marijuana out of one of those things yet?
Yes.
Yeah, that's, I just wanted to, you know.
Mhm.
Okay.
This shows the data, or this shows the use in Stevenson High School. While the use is lower than that of Lake County, you'll see that the electronic cigarette use rate is still 3 times that of traditional tobacco products. This slide shows Vernon Hills High School. So Vernon Hills historically had participated in the Teen Norms Survey, so we can't compare it directly to the IYS. However, Vernon Hills did participate in IYS this year, so we'll have some comparative data. So what this is showing is the use of any tobacco product, including electronic cigarettes, and then electronic cigarettes shown separately. This is a quote from the Surgeon General's report. So, what I have shown you is that there is a decline in tobacco use, but what this is saying is that there still is a need to combat the use of tobacco products, and that it is a threat to our youth today. We have seen a decline in tobacco use because of the policies that have put into place, such as the Smoke-Free Illinois Act, reducing the age, reducing the advertising. And so implementing a Tobacco 21 policy and increasing the minimum legal sales age is going to support and reinforce those policies that have been so effective. This is a quote from R.J. Reynolds. They have known that the age of 18 to 21 has been critical in nicotine addiction. If a man has never smoked by the age of 18, the odds are 3 to 1 that he never will. A lot of information in here, and this packet that you all have is referenced from the Institute of Medicine report, which shows specific impacts of implementing Tobacco 21 policies, reducing the smoking rate by 12%, and reducing smoking-related deaths by 10%. So I'm going to have Melissa come up. She is a student at Stevenson, and she is a member of Catalyst, and she's going to provide some additional information on why raising this minimum legal sales age is so important.
You're going to give us a stat on how many kids smoke marijuana?
Not exactly.
Okay.
This goes forward.
Perfect, thank you. Hi, my name is Melissa Houtman, and I'm going to be a senior at Stevenson in the fall. I'm one of 557 Vernon Hills residents that attend Stevenson. Between the approximately 1,300 students that attend Vernon Hills and the 557 of us that attend Stevenson, I see great value in raising the tobacco sale age to 21. Tobacco continues to be the #1 preventable cause of death and disease in the U.S. And nicotine is addictive, and since teens' brains are still developing, we are more susceptible to its effects. As a result of nicotine addiction, about 3 out of 4 teen smokers end up smoking into adulthood, even if they intend on quitting. About 95% of adult smokers begin smoking before they turn 21, and many transition to regular use between the ages of 18 to 21, which is why increasing the sale age can decrease the number of tobacco users. 2/3 of 10th grade students and nearly half of 8th grade students say it's easy to get cigarettes. Raising the purchasing age decreases the accessibility of tobacco products to high schoolers. Recently, violations at high schools have skyrocketed due to the introduction of e-cigarettes. During the 2015-2016 school year at Stevenson, there was 1 tobacco use violation. In the 2016-2017 school year, there were 17. At Vernon Hills High School, Amy Dillon has reported similar results. All right, so here's a picture up there, and I'd like to ask if any of you know what this is. Nope. All right, well, neither did I. It kind of looks like a USB port to me, but in reality, it's called a Juul, which is a type of electronic cigarette. But it's very difficult to detect, and kids are using these at an incredibly increased rate.
I was going to say rolling papers. You pull that white part out.
Not quite.
Okay.
The rise of the Juul has contributed to the extreme increase in violations in high schools, as we see in Stevenson and Vernon Hills High School. The benefits of increasing the sale age are really important. This delays the age when people first use tobacco, which reduces the risk of them becoming a regular smoker. But most importantly, this creates a social distance between younger kids and of-age purchasers. By creating a greater gap between of-age purchasers and youth, it will be harder for youth to obtain any tobacco product. Ultimately, this reduces smoking, which saves lives.
So there's favorability for Tobacco 21 policies, both nationally and locally. The national support is across the gamut from never smokers to current smokers. And in Lake County, we currently have a 73% favorability for tobacco 21 policies. We are very fortunate to have a lot of coalitions in Lake County that support prevention and substance abuse. And as you had mentioned earlier, these e-cigarettes are being used for tobacco, and then they're also able to ingest other drugs in highly concealable manners. This is not a new strategy. In 2005, Needham, Massachusetts was the first to pass a tobacco 21 policy. Since then, over 200 localities and 14 states have raised the minimum legal sales age, 3 from Lake County, Deerfield, Highland Park, and Lincolnshire. Increasing the...
Could you go
Yeah.
back to the graphic?
Mhm.
So there's only 4 states that actually raised the age
So there are
regarding the ability to truly enforce it.
2 states, whole states, that have raised the minimum legal sales age. California and Hawaii enacted a
Okay,
statewide
hence
law.
the 2 red, yeah, but
Mhm.
then you got raised it to 19 in like 4 states?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the stars
Well,
are.
is there any sponsorship down in Springfield, right? There's got to be somebody that would run with this, right?
There was a bill that died. It didn't come out of committee.
Yeah.
So at this point, there's.
Tell you what, if you don't mind, let me interject.
Sure.
I have a letter here, everybody up on the dais has it. It's from our state rep, Carol Senti. I asked her a while back to provide some information. So the letter reads as follows, in regards to the inquiry, House Bill 3208 was introduced this year. It went to the Rules Committee where all bills go to die. And nothing is going to happen. It was referred there on May 31st, which is the end of the term. It's going to require a 3/5 majority to get it out of there this year. That'll never happen. Last year, Senate Bill 2011, same exact bill, the only thing that was introduced by the Senate. This was during the 99th General Assembly. A roll call by the American Cancer Society lobbyist indicated that there was no support. It died. So it never made it out of wherever the Senate sends bills to die. So therefore, there is really no action that's going to be taken by the state this term, and it'll be reintroduced in January. But I guess the point being is that something is going on downstate with lobbyists or other entities that you haven't been able to overcome. My direct question to you, and I'll yield the floor back, but what's the county board's position on making the county, or at least those unincorporated areas, conform to what you're suggesting?
You want to state your name, please?
Of course.
Well, you
I didn't know if you wanted me to say it.
no, right here.
No, thank you. My name's Leah Bacci. I'm the Assistant Prevention Coordinator at Lake County Health Department, and I coordinate all of our alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention programs. And I'm proud to say that the county is currently considering a countywide Tobacco 21 ordinance, and so we're in the discussion stages at this point, but it is definitely on the table.
Now, that makes it more enforceable. Yeah.
Well,
Now, this would cover unincorporated Lake County.
But it will be enforceable.
Yes.
With the county police.
Correct.
Well, okay, so is that?
But it's unincorporated Lake County.
Well, I catch on that, but at least in the unincorporated areas, you would have authority to, I guess, fine whoever sold the cigarettes, right, or whoever bought them?
Yes, but in unincorporated Lake
I
County.
know
So
what unincorporated is.
Right, so I'm saying
You know.
it wouldn't cover, they wouldn't be able to enforce it in incorporated municipalities.
We capiche.
Okay.
Okay.
I just-
But the important thing is that would give it some guts and some momentum. If
Absolutely.
What is the exact legislation that the county is looking at? Is it the sale age, or is it possession?
It's sale age.
Why not possession?
So if you go back to the early 80s, when a lot of the tobacco control strategies started to emerge, all of the tobacco control strategies were never meant to be punitive on the user, but more on the tobacco industry.
That's not quite correct, because we made them go outside. The Smoke-Free Illinois.
Yes, but that is in support of workers and employees and non-tobacco users, because there is conclusive evidence of the effects of secondhand smoke. So because you brought that up, a point to make is that, a lot of people will disagree with the patchwork of ordinances. However, that really helped us pass Smoke-Free Illinois in 2008, is that we gained momentum throughout the state, and then it was much more acceptable at the state level.
Yeah, I remember the hearing on the billiard parlor?
Yes.
There was a lot of gnashing and grinding of teeth on that one, and we said, it's over.
Well,
That was-
for the record, I am, and I'm proud to hold the title of being called the smoking Nazi, because I'm the one who brought the Smoke-Free Illinois prior to it becoming Smoke-Free Illinois, but Smoke-Free Vernon Hills. And I was the one that pressed this board to do that. With that being said, I'm not as sparky about this because basically, it doesn't have any teeth. So I'm more than happy to sponsor a letter to the entire leadership, that being Madigan, Durkin, Cullerton, et
Can you
cetera,
even
et cetera.
say Rauner?
Thank you, Rauner.
Oh, okay.
And, well, I started with the legislature. If they don't pass it, it doesn't get to his desk to get signed.
Yeah.
But whatever, yeah. But us doing it, all I'm seeing is that we're going to create a situation where the chief now is going to send out his explorers and try and trick bag our 15 tobacco sellers with a heavily bearded 19 or 20-year-old that looks like he's older than I am, probably. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm awful gray, but.
You don't need a disguise.
No.
Yeah.
So that's, I'm kind of.
You'll get carded at Target for alcohol.
I get, oh, yes, no, I get carded at Target, yes. I have
Target
to.
doesn't sell tobacco products.
Mr. Mayor, could I?
Chief, you could have the floor for a minute.
All right, thank you. I just thought maybe it'd be helpful at this point to take a step and highlight a couple things related to our current state of Village Code. When this issue was brought up, we took a step back and reviewed it. For instance, the current Village Code has some antiquated language. It doesn't properly define the alternate tobacco products, e-cigarettes, and as the presentation demonstrates, that's part of the problem now. So there's probably some steps that the village could take, or perhaps some options the village could take. So if you'd like, I can highlight a few of those. I think we all agree the dangers of smoking, it's irrefutable.
But Chief, are your comments going to lead to our ability to enforce and fine?
If you so choose, there's a path to get there for this sale. And that's a question, but I think there's a couple questions a little shy of that. So
okay.
If possible, I'd just like to highlight that we presented an updated section of Village Code for consideration, and I just touch on some of those highlights. As stated, this did fail at the state. Although several municipalities have adopted ordinances, I reached out to some of those municipalities, and most of the effective ones have only banned the sale of tobacco. No one here is talking about trying to pass an ordinance that prohibits the possession or use of tobacco by people under the age of 21. So we're talking about potentially a prohibition on the sale to people between the age of 18 and 21 of tobacco and alternate tobacco products and e-cigarettes. The How that would work and how it's worked in other communities is you communicate with those tobacco retailers in your community to make them aware that instead of the state law 18, the village ordinance requires a person to be 21 years of age in order to purchase tobacco product. You give them an opportunity to educate their staff, to become aware, and the compliance checks would come sometime later. And those towns that have done those compliance checks have found a very high level of compliance. 99% of those retailers are in compliance. We have 15 tobacco retailers in the community. It wouldn't be difficult for the village to communicate to those 15 retailers to let them know of that restriction. Where it would become very challenging is any attempt to try and ban the use or possession of tobacco products for people between the age of 18 and 21. We found a couple other provisions in our code that are worth considering of the village board. If you so choose to ban the sale of tobacco products to persons under the age of 21, a subset of that question is, do you restrict people under the age of 21 from selling tobacco products? So a tobacco retailer that has a staff person 19 or 20 years old would be prohibited from selling a tobacco product. That's a subset of the question for your consideration.
Currently, do 17-year-olds, those that have a part-time job, can they sell?
So currently, the state law restricts, allows anyone over the age of 16 to sell tobacco products. So that's a consideration if you want to address it in the village code. We also found kind of an antiquated provision in the village code restricting the proximity of tobacco sales. We find that nowhere else in any of the other village codes that we looked at. It's not regulated by state, and it is somewhat challenging, problematic going forward. So our recommendation would be, at the very least, updated village code that properly defines e-cigarettes and alternative tobacco products, updating the proximity clause to remove that, and then really the question at hand is, do you want to restrict the sale of tobacco products to the persons under the age of 21?
Okay. What's the chances of, like a class action suit coming forward? Is counsel not here? Oh, there he is.
Well, we have the authority to do this through our home rule powers, so,
Yeah.
I think that any class action suit, while, people bring class actions for just about anything these days, I don't think it would be.
And you do handle it pro bono, right?
Probably our insurance carrier would handle it, so I probably wouldn't get the honor of handling that case, but I'm
think?
sure I would give you a rate, absolutely.
What would be the theory on our insurance carrier handling it?
For a class.
Yeah, and this, no, but on this type of a,
For an ordinance violation, sure.
really?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
on a related note, I did ask the chiefs of the town, several chiefs of the towns that have passed this, what level of pushback they got from their retailers. They all said they received no pushback from the retailers. It doesn't seem that anyone wants to be out there promoting or defending a practice of selling tobacco products to people 18, 19, and 20 years of age.
And would there be a prohibition to the older brother friend to go buy it, the 21-year-old, and then buy it and give it to the kids?
No, our village code
But could that put any teeth into it? I mean, could we put a fine into that? And the answer is, no, I'm just, chief's on a roll.
No, that's not something we considered. It's not something I saw in the other ordinances. I don't know that that would be a recommendation to go
But,
there.
I guess that what would tell you if it was successful or not is if their sales went down.
That would possibly be an indication
Nikki,
of
can we
how
find that out?
effective it's
Dr. Oppenheimer.
Can I ask, did you speak with the chief of Deerfield?
Not on this issue, I did not.
Because I spoke with someone at their department, and I did get a copy of their ordinance, and they changed the age, and it's actually the use is prohibited in Deerfield.
Right.
So, so there is a precedent for doing that in the local community.
Sure, if I could address that, a few of the communities did pass ordinances regulating the use and possession. That is less common than the ordinances, what's being proposed here, and what would be considered by the county is the ordinance restricting the sale. My concern with an ordinance that restricts the possession and use is that a person passes many jurisdictional lines on their way to Vernon Hills, and they would be in compliance, not in compliance, in compliance. And when you consider some of these e-cigarettes and these alternative tobacco product smoking devices or vaping devices can cost $300 or $400, we could potentially have a situation where we have a visitor to our community or a resident of our community that isn't aware of this prohibition in violation, having quite an expensive lawful product at the state level confiscated by a police officer. And that is just one example of several complexities we could have in trying to enforce a ban on possession or use.
I understand that it would be complex, but I also believe that the word would get out pretty quickly.
You want to come up? Yeah. Go. Who are you finished, Dak?
Yeah, I don't think you were. Go ahead.
I wasn't quite finished. I
Right.
just wanted to say that I'm ultra sparky on this issue, and I am in favor of banning as much as possible, limiting the spread of tobacco, limiting the sale, limiting the transfer, possession, furnishing, any language that we could use to minimize this. Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Jamie Epstein. I'm the executive director of Stand Strong Coalition, which is the community coalition for the Stevenson High School area. And of course, we have more than 500 students. I live in Vernon Hills, and my kids live in Stevenson. And I have the substance abuse prevention coordinator from Stevenson here too, who would agree with me that this rise in the e-cigarette and this vaping is so extraordinary, and especially at the middle school level. I don't know if you ask your patients of kids. We have Dr. Sirota ask all of her patients if they know anybody who vapes, and all of the middle school kids, 100% have said yes. So the point of this is to increase the distance, right? So that it's easier for a freshman to find a senior who's 18 to buy this product for them versus it would be harder to find someone who is 21. So that's the point, right? That we got to keep this out of the younger ages, and it is getting even into the middle schools at this point. So we want to increase that distance of the ease and the access to the tobacco products, right?
Yes. And then to address Dr. Oppenheim as well, the reason for the not so much emphasis being placed on possession is that since the historical minimum legal sales age is 18, you have those who are between the ages of 18 to 21 who are already addicted. And so we know how difficult it is to quit. And so that is why it's kind of optional to choose the possession.
And I understand some municipalities have grandfathered those people in, and it's just 3 years until they're of age, and then it's no longer an issue.
Okay, Trustee Cook.
The argument that was just addressed has one that's been used for years for keeping the alcohol age at 21 as well, because it's been shown that in areas where something is at 18, a 16 or a 17-year-old knows somebody who's 18 can get, if you raise it to 21, that's now a 19 or 20-year-old. And that's been used for years for alcohol and has, I think, significant validity based on everything I've ever read about it. And I have no problem supporting this because I've said to kids for years at school, it's the only product I know that if you use it properly, it'll kill you. Everything else, like your car, you got to use improperly. This is the only product that if you use it right, it's going to hurt you. So whatever we can do to get rid of it, moving it up to 21 is fine with me. And I don't mind being ahead of the state. We were ahead of the state by 1.5 to 2 years on the indoor smoking and that. So I have no problem raising the sale age to 21.
Yeah, refresh, when we went back to the billiard parlor, was that tied into, weren't they selling it also? Cigars and such?
I believe there was.
And then I think
cigars.
we yanked, I don't know, we yanked the license or something. Where you couldn't,
Basically, they were in such dire financial straits that this basically just
Right.
became the last nail in
Yeah.
their financial coffin, so to speak. And
Right.
they closed directly after, because they were already closed when I testified before the Senate Rules Committee for the passage of the Smoke-Free Illinois.
yeah, so, but did we have do you remember that one, Jen, or were you? Yeah, did we have the ability to fine and arrest? Pat?
I don't recall.
Village attorney? Well, I don't care if he wasn't here, maybe he still knows.
I don't believe there were an arrest.
Yeah.
At most, it was a
Yeah, these are
local
mostly local
ordinance to
ordinance
appear before
type
the.
violations, not.
All
Right,
right, yeah, okay.
right.
Trustee Takioka.
Just a couple comments here. First of all, in regards to Carol Sente's letter to Trustee Schultz, she did mention if a bill to raise the minimum age to purchase tobacco and tobacco products came to the House for a vote, I would be in support of such legislation. So I just wanted to let everybody know that as well. Most importantly, she would support it. Number two, I got this email forwarded to me late this afternoon from Vernon Hills High School. Principal Dr. Gilliam, we at VHHS support the proposed law, so you have full support from Dr. Gilliam. But, more importantly, I think it's the younger kids that really we're targeting here. It's the middle school that these kids are so much more advanced. I have kids age ranging from 12 to 18, and I can assure you my 12-year-old knows a heck of a lot more than my 18-year-old.
Well, it's probably because of the cell phone, too.
Well,
probably on it all day long.
But that's beside the point. I just think that, we're aiming for the younger kids here as well. So I think there's a couple other people that.
I don't think anybody's
Sure.
against doing something. It's just, you're going to have to try to enforce it some way?
That's right. And so that's why I'm asking for the consideration to be something that we can practically enforce, because although I'm certain that Trustee Oppenheim and I agree that we want to keep people from using this product, I really see challenges in trying to enforce a use and possession ban on a ordinance level, at a village level, in a community with so many visitors passing through, destination locations for people that are 18, 19, 20 years old to come frequently.
Well, yeah, I don't want to see some kid who bought, cigarettes in a town that didn't have a prohibition.
Right.
Wind up with a record as a result. And I don't think we want to be that punitive.
Well, and even those contacts, even those police contacts can
Right.
be challenging. So
Right.
I think what's in front of you is drafted by our village attorney, takes all those measures just shy of that possession question and would regulate the sale. Mr. Mayor, there's 15 tobacco retailers. It is not a difficult outreach for us to make those personal contacts, to follow up with letters, and then to follow up with compliance checks should the board want to go in that direction.
Does that 15 include the vape stores too?
Yes, it would include those vape stores.
So there's 15 either or, tobacco retailers or vape
Yes,
stores?
I think you'll find the vape stores also sell tobacco products, so.
I don't know.
don't frequent them either.
No, I just as I started smoking when I was 13, quit when I was 26.
Good for you.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I guess, or
So what about,
I have my light on.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes.
The young lady from Stevenson, the kids that did violations, what happened to them? What did they do? Or how were they dealt with?
A new face.
Okay, I was just curious, because you said that they
I'm
were.
Dr. Christina Cortese,
Yes.
Substance Abuse Prevention Coordinator at
Okay.
Stevenson High School. So for a tobacco violation or a nicotine violation, our policies do specifically cite e-cigarettes and related products. Students can receive up to a 3-day suspension. They can reduce that suspension to 1 day of inside suspension by participating in a educational program with the intention of providing them with information in the hopes that they would cease their use of the product.
And this is on the campus?
On the campus,
This is
correct?
on
So is this, you go to the lockers and open them up, and if somebody's got something in there?
I think they've been rather bold, so I think we've
you've
had a
actually
number of
seen them
students vaping in our Wood Commons. We've had students come and report students vaping in class, charging the Juul product that you saw in computers. We specifically have sent out emails informing teachers of what that product looks like, both during the regular school year and again during summer school just recently. So we have definitely seen an uptick, and it's fairly bold. Although we have seen the traditional hiding in the bathroom as well that we saw with tobacco products originally as well.
And can I be correct in assuming that Vernon Hills High School has the same policy? Okay, okay. Greg,
Yeah, no, ours are very similar to theirs. I'm Greg Stilling, for those of you who don't know me. I'm our assistant principal. Come on, I gotta get closer to the
yeah,
microphone.
gotta get close.
could you repeat your name for the record?
I'm Greg Stilling, assistant principal at Vernon Hills High School. Yeah, we're in support of everything that's been talked about here. Yeah, our policies are very similar to Stevenson's. You know, we work with these guys on a lot of these same issues.
Do you know if they have any of this at the middle school or younger? Do they have any policies like that within the grammar school system? I wonder if they would catch someone.
So I know that I was
gonna
just
say,
recently asked, at least in the Stevenson area,
Okay.
what would happen and
Right.
what we should be doing. So I was consulted specifically by Lincolnshire Police Department,
Okay.
asking to, in the future, consult with our sender schools to determine how best to implement policies. But I think because it is just emerging, and even in those places, unfortunately, educators are not well informed about
Sure,
this
sure.
either. So like you said, we would be getting ahead of the curve
Because
here.
my frustration is we can do the sale, but then they're still going to smoke. They're still going to get and smoke. And so what have we done? Have we really helped the process? Hopefully we have. And I'm certainly in support of that. But how do we get it to stop? And if we don't, you know, they can go to Mundelein now and they'll buy it and they'll smoke. They could go to Libertyville and they'll buy it and they'll smoke. I mean, where do we go with this all? And that's,
Can I just say too that I think that part of policy change is creating a culture change
Sure.
and making a very clear stance about how the community feels about
Mm-hmm.
something. And in doing that, you create public awareness regarding a health issue. So oftentimes what may seem like a small policy change is really creating a larger impact societally and in the surrounding communities that exist. I think the fact that you have students, I mean, I can see 4 of our Catalyst students from Stevenson High School that took their time on their summer break to come here because they felt like this issue was significant to them.
Absolutely.
And they want to be a part of the policy change that you have the ability to make. And so I think just hearing from them and knowing that this is not just an adult voice, but a teenage voice is also really crucial.
And moving it to 21 does, and increase that distance
it'll
from the
help.
buyer.
Sure, certainly it'll help, so, but I think there's more to it than just that, and hopefully that'll come over time. And I do still believe that we got parents, and I've seen them, that are supplying the kids with it too. And that's, it's like, hello, you know, I want you to be my best friend, so here's this, or here's the alcohol so I can be your best friend. And that really is a frustration too. So hopefully we could try the education process a little bit better. But
Well, does anybody know the truth of the matter for Springfield? You know, not to raise the age, is it just all about the revenue? It's gotta be.
There's a couple things. Part of it is the revenue, and there was a big push this year, we knew for sure, by the e-cigarette industry, who tried to separate themselves from the tobacco industry. So they're pushing very hard to market to that age group.
Right.
Clearly. And so that was the second piece. So it was financial and as well as the e-cigarette industry.
Yeah, and it probably needs to get out there more that this can damage your lungs also. Do
Exactly.
we know that for sure now? I assume, right? But I'm not the researcher. So can you speak to that one?
So what we do know is that there are chemicals found within the nicotine, whether it's nicotine solution or non-nicotine containing solution, that have been defined as potentially, as being carcinogenic.
Yeah.
So,
That one needs to be, I think, somehow disseminated to the public more, and we'd certainly do that in the newsletter, or blast out, and, at least, give that public information out there.
And
But,
also too, the threat of nicotine addiction. Correct. It is a gateway, and there are a lot of electronic smoking devices that say they don't contain nicotine, that very well do contain traces of nicotine, and are very susceptible to the teenage brain. And so if you start the addiction process, as we all know, that is a very difficult process to stop. And so the nicotine as well is a very strong component of why we are advocating for the increase in age. And just to quickly speak to Chief Christ, in the proposed ordinance, if I'm correct, to raise the minimum legal sales age, possession would still be restricted under 18?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, that's governed by state law.
It is governed by state law, and our ordinance would reinforce that at 18.
So,
yeah, all right. Well, it sounds like, though, we need to update the ordinance, right, with additional language?
Yes, sir.
So you and Patrick can work on that?
We've done that.
We added some definitions.
All right, well, then we should bring those back and adopt them if we're gonna, obviously, I think it's easy to determine, well, how this is going with the board or the committee of the whole, so, and that's a good thing, so. Does everybody want to keep talking about this?
yeah, I would.
Okay, trustee Markwart then. I haven't heard from you yet.
No, so I'd like to put my foot into it. But the thing is that to police it, I think is very difficult. But I believe if you take it away or raise the age to 21, you'll lessen a few. And hopefully by then, it will catch on in the state and it will become a law. I was never a smoker. My kids don't smoke. Wasn't my thing. I don't like the e-cigarette routines. And if I had my way, yes, it'd be banned. But you can't enforce it. But I believe it will come. But I believe if you take it and pinch on it, it's going to work. So I'm in favor of it.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
I think you can enforce it just a little bit in that it's easier for a 15 or 16-year-old to pass for 18 than for 21. So if I'm working at 7-Eleven or wherever, I don't know if they sell cigarettes or not, but wherever, and I see a kid who looks like they might be 18, they might not look even close to 21. So that's why I think we all really think this is somewhat enforceable, more so than, I know it'd be hard for you guys, but it would certainly help your retailers to look at a 15 or 16-year-old and say, okay, that kid's not 21.
And just so there's no confusion, Mr. Mayor, I want to make sure the audience is clear. I believe enforcing the sale prohibition is absolutely manageable and doesn't present any problems for the police department, doesn't expose the village to additional risks. It's in trying to enforce a new ban on possession for those under the age of 21 is where I would caution and suggest we not go. So.
And the retailers pretty much, though, would be on the honor system most of the time.
Well, most of the time, but we would do periodic checks
Well, I
as we
understand
do
it.
now.
Chief,
We do checks at least annually and sometimes more
okay.
frequently. So we would.
All right, well, I hope, I'd be interested to see where this has been done, though. Did the sales fall off dramatically? You know, or you get the kid in the hood that's 21 that goes in and buys. But,
Mayor?
yeah, with that said,
Nikki's got.
Oh, Nikki's got
If I can assist on the revenue side of things, because I've been working with the chief on this a little bit, trying to figure out how could we measure this. Unfortunately, we do not receive sales data information specifically to cigarettes, and what is also difficult to measure is those individuals that may stop at retailers and also get a bottle of Coke or a bottle of water as well. So I would anticipate that this may decrease sales slightly, but it won't be possible for us to measure how much of that is cigarettes, how much of that is ancillary, how much of that is in terms of economics.
well, unless
In
we,
terms of,
unless we appeal to the Department of Revenue or through the state reps.
we may be able to
Well,
obtain some of that
Yeah,
information.
and I'm not saying they're gonna, be able to pull, Kevin should know how to do this for
mean-
Wolfburg.
We could appeal to that.
Huh?
In terms of
Wolfburg
sales
knows
tax
how to do it.
revenue,
Huh?
Wolfburg knows how to do it.
Yeah, we got an ace in the hole here.
in terms of sales tax revenue that the state, or that we actually receive as a village,
Yeah.
we would only receive the retailer's occupation tax. On a $10 pack of cigarettes, you're talking about 10 cents. So it's very minimal in terms of a revenue standpoint. From the state of Illinois, the Office of Management and Budget is reporting that they're getting $350 billion from cigarettes.
Million?
Million, yep, I'm sorry, not billion.
Well, if it was billions, we wouldn't be
Long
broke.
day. 350 million. They receive $2 of taxes per pack on average, so.
All right. Okay, trustee Oppenheim.
So I just wanted to add one point that you said that you were concerned about someone age 18, 19 getting a record, but in the Deerfield ordinance, they said that the penalty is they'll be issued a compliance ticket in lieu of a citation or arrest warrant for each offense. So as I don't know exactly what that means, but I would imagine that means that they're not going to have a record per se for this.
Patrick.
It would be a compliance ticket. It would be a ticket.
Yeah.
So they're not
50
gonna-
bucks, $100, something
Exactly.
like that, yeah.
Right. So
That might cure you for a while.
if I was that age, it would cure me,
And
certainly.
can I ask the chief, so how do you manage when there are 17-year-olds with 18-year-olds in terms of possession? Because right now it's illegal for 17-year-olds. So what do you do about that?
I would suggest that officers that encounter young people with cigarettes are oftentimes having an educational moment with them more than an enforcement moment. So to call them to call out IDs and let me see what age you are is probably more of an issue of the staff of our schools. Our SROs are probably involved in that because it's prohibited to have, regardless of what age you are in the schools. This is not something that generates a lot of enforcement activity on the side of police officers to go out there and say, are you 18 or 17? When we have contact with them, we reinforce that. There certainly have been some tickets, cited over the years, but I don't have the data to say exactly, how many. It's not unlike the issue with 20 and 21-year-olds. If a 21-year-old has alcohol and he's with a 20-year-old, the 20-year-old might get the ticket, and a 21-year-old might get ticketed or arrested for providing the alcohol to a person underage.
So how would this be any different then, if we raise the possession and use?
The difference becomes that for laws to be effective, we need awareness on the part of the population. And the way most laws work is that the majority of the population understand the law and they comply. If we try and use enforcement as the mechanism to change behavior, and the primary mechanism, we've failed in most opportunities to do that. So you need compliance, and then you need enforcement as a tool of it. And when you have a community with a daytime population of 80,000, many visitors coming through our community, even with the patchwork of half a dozen communities around us passing these ordinances, to think that we're going to effectively communicate what the expectation is in our community to most of the people passing through our community or in our community at any one time, I think that is such a high bar of communication and education, we're just not going to reach it.
Well, we've had a prohibition on smoking in the Park District for years now. I don't know if we've ever issued a citation.
I don't think we have.
So, well, let's get the ordinance ready and we can vote right now, if you
Well, we
want.
haven't drafted an ordinance yet, but if so directed, we would draft an ordinance
Yeah.
for the council's consideration at the next meeting?
That's fine.
Okay.
Can I move that we draft 2 ordinances then? One for possession and use and one for sale?
We can do it.
Yeah, well, okay, you could do it, but the enforceability,
Possession, you
Well, might
the
I,
citation
might I
side of it.
suggest that the typical operation of this committee is to provide a motion to direct staff to prepare the necessary ordinance to achieve a specific outcome.
Yeah, in this case, it would be to amend the village code.
Right.
And maybe, Chief, you want to walk them through the,
Yeah, we would be seeking direction to draft an ordinance for the village board's consideration to amend the village code, Article 3, which would expand and update definitions of tobacco products to include alternative nicotine, e-cigarettes, to establish a policy prohibiting the sale of tobacco products, e-cigarettes, and alternative nicotine products to anyone under the age of 21, to require the posting of signs to that nature, and to update the proximity of certain institutions on tobacco retailers. And I think that hits the high points, but the code updates would be all spelled out for you in track changes.
But to the actual retailer, the seller, could we, hit them with a citation?
So, of course, the retailers
So we
would.
could tie that in,
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
so the $50, $100.
Well,
Right,
it would be
cross-
whatever it currently is, right? Or
It's
do
fee
we,
schedule.
do we go right to the state statute when we,
It would be tied to what's in the fee schedule currently.
well, I guess.
How much is that then?
Right now, do we do a tobacco
Yes, sir.
compliance?
Yeah, we do regularly.
Okay, and in those rare instances where they fail, what have we done in the past?
They would have been cited, but I can't tell you what the outcome at their court hearing would have
Nobody's
been.
come in here.
correct.
But that would be part of the ordinance as well, that they,
Yeah,
for the
well,
retailer.
it's just as if it was a liquor violation.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Well, but a liquor violation, it's a violation of the state law, and they wind up going to Mundelein to the court
But they come into here to.
after the fact.
The license.
For their license, but right now, when we have a violation.
What's that?
Of the liquor, when you do your liquor checks, they get the server gets a ticket that they have to adjudicate at the Mundelein Court, Lake County Circuit Court. And then the business itself comes before this body for a license hearing. What would we do in this particular case? Because it's not a violation of state law. I'm assuming you're using state law when you issue the ticket.
So right now, you're right. This would not come before this body as its function as the liquor commission, but it would
Yes, it
be
would.
handled, no, not a tobacco retailer. So
Sure,
it's a-
no, they have a license to sell tobacco. It's liquor and license. So it would come before this body. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
It would
right?
come before the village board, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yes, it's not the same, it's obviously not the same as a liquor hearing because that's not the body that would hear it, but it would be the village board sitting as a body that would hear a violation of their license and would adjudicate that.
The license tied into when we had the near tragedy of Chile
Yes.
years ago, you know, and that's when we started bringing people in, you know.
That wouldn't be the village board, that would be the Liquor and License Commission.
That's why it is a liquor and license.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just the Liquor Commission, it's the Liquor and License Commission. So therefore, the retailer would be brought before us. The individual seller would get what? A compliance?
A compliance ticket.
Which-
That's the way it's set up.
Which
today.
is whatever, the first Thursday of the month or whenever. Rick Davies is still the compliance officer? First Tuesday of the month, and Rick Davies is still the compliance?
No, the compliance process is set up where the assistant manager is the compliance officer or the administrative hearing judge. Rick serves as a staff member that supports that. That hearing is held the third Tuesday of every month at 5:30 in this room.
And that's usually, what dominates is parking, right?
Correct.
Primarily. And it's probably a great opportunity just to mention that the administrative adjudication system and process is something that we've identified as an opportunity to update. There's been some recent state law changes, so that's something on my short list of things to bring before the board for future consideration.
So Patrick, we could bring in the seller of the tobacco and, you know, fine him as if we're gonna pull his license
The license holder, sure.
for selling tobacco to the 18-year-old, even though it's legal statewide.
Yes, because it's a condition of his license. It's part of our
Okay,
ordinance.
well, then we gotta really work through
Right.
some
Like
of
a-
these.
Like any other provision
Yeah.
of that retailer's license, they would need to comply with that, and if they didn't, then there would be.
Yeah, okay, well, then better put the teeth, I don't have a problem then, put the teeth in there and.
Well, then at this juncture, I know you want to speak again, but I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to create the ordinance in accordance with the outline created by the chief. I'll do it again, although I'm not real sparky on this. I understand where you're all coming from.
Yeah. Well, we
And
wanna
It's not a
do this-
bad thing, it's just, I'll go with this, but the other thing that I'd like to see done is also a letter to the legislature to show our support of this to the leadership.
Sure.
Including the governor and all, who else we feel is appropriate, both leaders in the House and both leaders in the Senate, along with our own representatives, including the new ones, Mr. Sauer and the new senator.
Well, and also you want, okay, that's the seller, but we gotta are we gonna combine two ordinances together or two separate ordinances?
No, we're going to have one ordinance here to prohibit the sale of tobacco and tobacco-related products, including e-cigarettes, to anyone below the age of 21.
Yeah.
But it's just the sale. That's all I am putting forward as a motion right now.
All right, Dr. Oppenheim.
What are we doing about internet sales of vaping devices?
Oh.
I think that needs to be addressed.
We need a dog.
Well, my point is, what's gonna stop a 19-year-old from just buying tons of product on the internet? So you're stopping them from buying at the corner shop. They can go to Mundaline, they can buy it there, and then they can give it to the 17-year-old who gives it to the 14-year-old, et cetera. So the point is, they're still going to have access.
But my answer would be, no, we're not going to stop everything. We stop what we can control. There are many things out there we have no control over, we still try to stop it. You ever drive around? Do you know that you can't use a handheld cell phone in Illinois? You need to tell about 100 people a day that I see.
I understand.
Or 1,000.
But still, we make the law, stop who we can stop. It's a step in the right direction. There are things, internet sales is something well out of our control.
And that's my point exactly. I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
If we not only ban the sale, but also ban the possession and use for someone in that age range, because that's really what's going to get the message across. And whether or not whether or not you have the capacity to cite every single person, you don't ticket every person who's going 65 on the highway, do you? But that doesn't mean we don't pass the law to say that's the speed limit. So, I think we should follow Deerfield's approach and say, in our community, you can't have this. We're not going to give everyone a ticket, but when we see you, we'll at least have the conversation, and it'll be the police officer's prerogative to do that.
Well, the first is not amenable to modifying the motion.
Okay. All right, if that's the case, then, because council said we could give a citation to the youth, the underage person.
Yes.
Yeah, so that'd be the second part of the ordinance or two separate ordinances. I think we already had that discussion.
Well, if I could make a suggestion, if we draft it in a certain way where it seems to be there's consensus to prohibit the sale, okay?
Yeah.
So if we prohibit the sale and have the ordinance before you, then when it's before you, then you can all vote it up or down and have the discussion whether to amend it to add.
Or we could just have two ordinances put in place. So, Craig, is that what you wanted to, go ahead.
Well, no, I would,
Yeah.
as I understand where you're coming from, Dr. Oppenheim, Trustee Schultz, I'm going to agree with him. Let's just move the sale up first, and if we have to add on to the ordinance later, let's do that, because I think, the community and, the people that spoke here was banning, increasing the age, we're limiting accessibility, we have the ordinance here, we can vote on it, so I'm going to second Trustee Schultz's motion.
And the objective here really is to move the state forward, because the patchwork is BS. All right, we need the state to take the effective, just like they did with the setting up the rules and regulations regarding smoke-free Illinois, smoke-free workplace Illinois. So, we're just helping to facilitate that process.
All right. Any further comments or questions on this particular approval of the ordinance to penalize the seller? Roll call. Nope. Got a first and a second, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, roll call.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a second motion to where you want to actually develop the ordinance that would actually allow the police to issue citations to the youthful offender? Yeah, yeah.
Right.
How do you police it?
And he can work on that one too. So does anybody want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got Deerfield's ordinance right here. We can take a look at that.
Okay.
So,
Chief, what are your thoughts?
yeah.
I'm aware that Deerfield and a couple other communities have passed these ordinances banning the possession and use. I do not believe they're enforcing them. My recommendation is that it would be a bad idea to pass something without the expectation of enforcement. That's my recommendation. I think that what's been proposed is a good step in the right direction, that perhaps with more time, maybe there's another approach.
But you don't think they would give more teeth and a lasting impression on the youths that you're trying to reach, that they got fined?
So we were just saying that
How do you enforce
there's
it?
discretion with every officer's interaction, And it would serve as an opportunity for an officer to make a decision about whether they use that as an educational opportunity or as one that requires some degree of enforcement, whether that's with a fine or otherwise.
Yeah.
It at least gives an officer the opportunity to make that judgment call in the moment,
Right.
based on the situation, based on the nature of the circumstances.
Well, citation, as we're speaking, would that allow a CSO to even issue a citation?
No, we would not use CSOs.
No,
for this type of enforcement.
but could they? I mean, you got,
No, we do not have CSOs enforcing this type of conduct in any other place. Just, they do parking, they do animal violations, but these personal conduct type violations are limited to police officer enforcement.
Patrick?
I concur.
Well, I know you concur, but could they do it?
Theoretically, as a law enforcement officer, the answer would be yes, but, I defer to the chief as to.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, because, we are building, inspectors and commissioners, you issue citations, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, okay. They're not sworn. All right. I'm just trying to help you here, chief, so that you got even more bodies to enforce this.
Could I also remind you, the conversation here about officer discretion and how these things work out don't always play out in such a congenial conversation like we're having here.
Right.
Let's also keep in mind that Great Lakes Naval sends tens of thousands of young men through our community that would have absolutely no idea that they're in violation of our village ordinance when they, vape or light a cigarette or doing them. And I don't believe it furthers public policy to have more police enforcement activities that are not widely known and statewide. So, like my predecessor, I really think the best approach is this state ban, and a wise local approach is to do so in a manner that we can practically enforce, and we can communicate effectively with 15 dealers very effectively.
We have a good start.
Okay, all right, so that's where we're at tonight. It'll come back in 2 weeks, or no, the 5th, right? July 5th. And we'll take the action on that and decide if we're going any further.
I'm sorry, I was going to make a suggestion that we do it on the 20th, because I'm not going to be able to be here on the 5th, and I would really like to be.
It's going to pass.
But
if it,
okay, that's fine.
Well, I mean, it gets it rolling quicker,
Yeah.
With regard to the letter that I requested, do you need a motion to do that, or is the
I think that was
consensus?
part of your motion that was seconded and passed.
Okay, all right.
All right. Okay, that's it. We'll keep you, just come on the 5th.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. All right, consideration of an intergovernmental agreement between the villages of Vernon Hills, Libertyville, Mundelein, providing shared what?
Greg's Landing.
Greg's Landing first.
Oh, I jump ahead?
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, number 4, Greg's Parkway and North Huntington intersection. Public Works Director Brown.
Thank you very much. At a previous board meeting, we went over the intersection of Greg's Parkway and Huntington Drive. There's a number of different options that were presented to the board. Based on the last board meeting, we ended up whittling that down to 3 different options. One option was a pedestrian enhancement. A second one was looking at a 3-way stop situation, and then the third was a hybrid of those 2. So based on the board direction, I met with Lake County Department of Transportation, their director and staff. We presented those 3 options and wanted to present the findings of LDOT. As you're aware, by the 3-party agreement, they have say on any issue that impacts the capacity of Huntington, Greggs Parkway, or Lakeview. And so the intent of that agreement was a large part of our discussion, and ultimately what they came down with was, when we talked about the pedestrian enhancements, they think that's a really good idea. They would like, they concur with that. In terms of the other options with the three-way stop, they went through the Civil Tech report and the findings that it didn't meet warrants at this time, so they were not inclined to approve that per the agreement. The last option was the hybrid of potentially eliminating the westbound to northbound movement from Greggs onto Huntington, and eliminating a right turn impacts the capacity, and so they said they would not consider that. So coming out of the meeting, they do concur with the pedestrian enhancement. So my recommendation is we would, I ask the board to approve of that pedestrian enhancement. We would need to put together a set of plans, share it with IDOT, and then, let me try that again, LDOT, and they would approve that drawing. With that, then the village could move forward with some enhancements. So that was the discussion at the meeting, and I understand that this is something close to a number of your of you, and so I just wanted to present that, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Trustee Schultz.
First off, thank you, Dave, for carrying the water on this. I am kind of disappointed. I think the stop sign is warranted there, as do a number of the folks that live up there. But with that being said, I think you've done a fine job in the preliminary engineering for the, we'll call it the safer crosswalk there. And I guess at this juncture, I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to move forward with the development of the plans based on your preliminary work and the agreement that we have with LDOT. Personally, I believe that in a year or so, we need to revisit this again when the build-out is complete of the commercial district, to see if there's additional traffic volumes that help meet the requirement. We know we have the traffic on Greggs Parkway. It's the traffic on Huntington that we need to have for a more sustained period of time to meet the state mandated warrants. So, and hopefully there's no other accidents there to help meet the warrants. That is not the way we'd like to proceed. But with that being said, if it is, so be it.
So this will include the pedestrian enhancement?
This would be the pedestrian enhancement, and there was one point that I meant to share. I did have a conversation with Greggs Landing Homeowners Association, and one of the things that we want to work with the HOA on is, instead of having this all concrete, we think it should have some landscaping consistent with the rest of Greggs Parkway and boulevard type system. So certainly I would work with Don Cathan to...
Who's going to pay for that?
So my proposal would be that the village would fund the improvements, and consistent with the other boulevard areas, we would work with the HOA to maintain the landscaping.
So the HOA would maintain?
Good evening, Don Cathan, President of the Greggs Landing North Homeowners Association. Yes, as is precedent with all of the median landscaping that's out there, the developer and the village put it in, and the HOA took responsibility for maintaining it.
Right.
And that's exactly what we would like to see happen.
Yeah, all right.
I do have one question, Dave, I forgot to ask you. The sidewalk on the south side of Greggs Parkway, that's not, I couldn't tell from the diagram if it's being impacted, redirected, narrowed?
So the question is, the sidewalk on the south side of Greggs Parkway, what we're looking to do is to move the sidewalk connection a little bit to the east to move them over so when they do cross, they would be in that raised concrete median, and we think that presents the safe refuge area. So yes, it would
Correct.
be shifting to the east.
Okay, so the existing sidewalk on the south side, would that be impacted? I understand how you're going to meet it, obviously you have to have a curb cut out and join that sidewalk area. But the existing sidewalk, are you going to redirect it in any way, narrow it?
No, there would be a connection to the bike path on the south side.
Right,
And the location of the crossing would be moved over to the east.
Because in looking at the diagram, the arc of the sidewalk seems to be just finely manipulated on the south side. Do you see my point?
Well, what's the setback? I mean, in the park, what's the parkway between the curb to the sidewalk?
You're
What's
asking
the length of the width of
the parkway? So from.
Yeah, but I'm walking east on, the south side of the sidewalk. Is there any separation there?
Yes, there's almost 20 feet of green space.
Yeah,
Yeah, my point is, I'm not concerned if it is manipulated or redirected. I don't want to just see it narrowed, because you have joggers and people walking with dogs and different things. You need that full width throughout.
So we will maintain the existing widths
Right.
on both of them.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Wherever we can put 20 feet, let me know, Dave, in other parts of town. Okay, so in essence, you're going to draft the appropriate ordinance. Did we even talk to?
Plans.
Did we even talk to Aaron Lawler, or?
I communicated with two of the residents, and I copied Dave Oppenheim and the village manager. And I also copied Aaron Lawler, because my direction to the residents was, we've done as much as we can, and if you'd like to lobby at a higher level, here's Aaron Lawler's name and address. I never heard back from Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron's been kind of persona, I don't know, he's been incognito or whatever you want to call
He's
it.
pursuing a lot of activities right now, the last time I talked to him.
Yeah, he's probably licking his wounds over the environmental study on 53 being approved. Throw that in, I kind of like that one. All right.
And consistent with what Trustee Schultz had raised, we can make this improvement, we can measure the traffic, analyze it, and we can always move forward with presenting a new case to LDOT. These are two separate things. Because it's in the median, we cut it out, we put concrete in it, we make the improvement. If ultimately we can make some of these other changes, it's in a separate area and it won't impact this, so.
Yeah.
Can I second the motion that's on the table?
Sure, yeah.
You're welcome.
Trustee Takioka?
I was just going to second Trustee Sparky's motion, and also state that Aaron Lawler has reached out to me on Facebook. He friend requested me, so I'll ask him.
There you go. Okay. All right, if there's no further comments or questions, roll call.
There's a comment.
Okay,
Trustee Oppenheim?
let's not be so testy. Wait a second. Hey, hold on, we got a comment.
Question, just a question. How close is it to Warren's? To meeting Warren's?
So
5 out of 8 hours?
yes, so right now, 5 out of the 8 hours we're at right now. You need to have 160 vehicles per hour for Huntington. Right now, we have it 5 hours. We need it to be 8 hours. Looking at the counts, there's a number of them that are 151, 157, 158. So those ones are very close, so added up, that's 8 of them. So we're not too far
What's
off.
the count on Greg's Parkway?
Gazillion.
About 1,000?
See, that's what the combination warrant tries to address. You want to have the same amount of traffic generally on both legs. If you have one leg that has less, then people tend to go to the intersection and they roll through it. So that's why you want to have this combination warrant and have similar volumes of traffic or close to it. We're not too far off. We don't meet it currently, and we certainly can look at that intersection again.
Yeah, and I was just going to echo what Trustee Schultz said, that probably when some more of the build-out is finished and that, we'll hit those warrants pretty quickly.
We'll keep on top of it.
Okay. Roll call, please. No more comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, so that'll come back on the 5th, right?
No.
Or you want to bring it back?
No.
So based on the direction from the board,
month?
staff will put together a set of plans. We will present it to LDOT, and then
maybe-
we'll provide an
Maybe
update.
August, huh?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Good thought.
Anything else on this topic? All right, consideration of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Vernon Hills, Libertyville, and Mundelein providing shared inspection services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over the past several months now, I've been in discussion with building officials from Libertyville and Mundelein for consideration of a shared inspection service agreement. This would apply primarily to building, plumbing, and electrical inspections. And early on in the process, we identified that each community, certainly with Vernon Hills, our inspection demand is so high that we determined that coming up with an agreement whereby each of us can help in assisting when an inspector is on vacation or out on sick leave would be the most appropriate approach. So based on that, we moved forward with our discussions. And after several staff level meetings between each community, and after review and approval by each community's attorney, a draft intergovernmental agreement, or an IGA, has been completed, and that agreement is attached to your packet. Some of the highlights, first of all, it would be within the sole discretion of the village to whom a request for an inspection assistant is made as to whether or not that village has the capacity or the ability to provide that service. If someone were to call, if Mundelein were to call and we're maybe short an inspector, or we're at our max on inspections and we just couldn't provide the assistance, we would have the ability to say, we're sorry, we can't do it on this day. Other days when we would have that resource available, then of course we can do so. Also, each village agrees to provide up to 60 hours per calendar year of inspection assistance. So it could work out where one year we provide 30 hours of assistance to Mundelein, 30 hours to Libertyville, or maybe it's 20 hours to one community, 40 to another. But in no case would that ever exceed 60 hours per calendar year. Also, inspections could be for not more than 4 hours per day and not on a consecutive day. If we had an inspector on vacation, we could make a request to Mundelein or Libertyville, and we could at least rely on getting 4 hours on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that would comply with those terms because it would not be consecutive days, and it would not exceed 4 hours per day as well. With this agreement, there would be no reimbursements. Instead, each community has committed to providing 60 hours collectively to the other communities. The idea is that at the end of the year, each community has provided as much service as it's received, so things would kind of wash out in the end. Also, each village agrees to procure and maintain general liability insurance covering the acts and omissions of its respective village and employees. So the draft IGA is...
How about the workers' comp?
Nikki?
Who?
Nikki.
Nikki?
So the village attorney and I have worked on language that each community would hold each other harmless for any injury. So in the event that I'm sure this would never happen, I hope this would never happen, that a Vernon Hills inspector was conducting an inspection in another community and they were injured, that would be done so in the course of their employment with the Village of Vernon Hills.
Right.
And the same would be true in the reverse with Libertyville or anyone else that would be involved.
So you looked at the borrowed servant doctrine under the Comp Act?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Third time.
The language that,
Why don't you look at that?
okay.
And, just to make sure. Because if we're, directing them, supervising them, providing them with equipment, it can get kind of thorny. And I don't want, and rightfully so, if we go to Libertyville, I would think, well, if our guy gets hurt, we should cover him under ours, but,
That's how it's drafted, but we'll double check.
well, I'll
to make
just
sure.
add, Okay.
Does Green Oaks have a set of inspectors?
They use they don't have
They don't do it.
that many inspections. They use, I think they're using B and F at this point. It's either
Okay,
them or TPI.
that was just a point of curiosity because of the Chamber of Commerce. We have those 4 towns are tied together via our chamber, so that's fine. I don't need to include them.
Well, we could go on and on this one,
Yeah, and-
Killdeer and,
Yeah, no, understood.
Long Grove and
Understood.
Hawthorne Woods all come under some umbrella,
Right. Lake County.
Yeah, we're
true,
Lake
actually.
Zurich.
And this IGA, although it starts small and there's some immediate benefits in terms of cost savings from not having to hire a consultant to fill in for, in particular, plumbing and electrical inspections. More importantly, the program creates a relationship between the villages and a path so that moving forward, it gives us a basis to potentially expand inspection services as opportunities present themselves. Looking at things more regionally, we have an opportunity potentially, depending on how the economy changes and construction and inspection demands change, to find some cost efficiencies in the way we provide those services. So this at least starts a dialogue and creates that path for these 3 communities. We would continue to meet on a monthly basis. We'd discuss things like staffing levels, building codes. Maybe we could work towards consistency in building codes. What are the different amendments and those kinds of things? And we would keep that relationship in place. And it could be something that the board could use as a tool moving forward if you thought appropriate. So tonight, if the COW feels that this agreement is appropriate, then staff should be directed to prepare a resolution authorizing the village to enter into the intergovernmental agreement for inspection services, subject to the terms that are outlined in the agreement attached to your packet.
Motion so made.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Motion carries. In Corporation Council, Village Attorney, we're covered for everything, right?
The way it's drafted, and I'll double check the exception that you noted.
So you think there's such a thing as full coverage?
There's never full coverage.
That's right. That's the right answer. It's called limitations, exclusions, and I'll get Craig going here in a second. Definitions, all that fun stuff. All right, yeah, I like that comment. Citation, we're covered. We get sued. Well, yeah, but duty to defend, it doesn't mean you're going to indemnify us. All right. Is there a motion to, am I missing anything else?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to adjourn to go to closed session to discuss whatever John said earlier?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Motion.
Aye.